Hello, I'm Liviu Balan and today I will speak about Vagrant multi-machine. So let's get started. First thing that I will do during this tutorial is to open Oracle VM Virtualbox Manager. In order to do this, I will click my menu button and here I will type virtual. Select Oracle VM Virtualbox and hit the enter key. As you can see here, I already have a virtual machine defined which is powered off. Let's minimize this window for now, and as you will see in a moment, this virtual machine here corresponds to a Vagrant project of mine, and in order to manage this Vagrant project, I will change the current working directory using the cd command to my home directory /vagrant/ubuntu trusty32, which is the Vagrant project directory. Now, in order to avoid problems during this tutorial, I will use Vagrant destroy with the F option before taking any changes to my Vagrant file, followed by Vagrant app -- provider VirtualBox in order to recreate and start the virtual machines. This will be used instead of Vagrant reload in order to avoid problems related to the virtual machine and the file system. If you forget to destroy the virtual machines before taking any changes to the Vagrant file, I recommend you do it manually by going to the Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager, go to the virtual machines that you want to destroy, right-click on it, and then close, followed by remove. You may select remove all files from the file system in order to avoid future problems. Okay, for now I will use Vagrant status in order to see what is inside of my current Vagrant directory project, and as you can see, for now here I'm having a liviubalan.com-vm virtual machine which is powered off and is VirtualBox type. This virtual machine listed here corresponds to this one here. Now, before taking any changes to my current Vagrant project, let's talk a little about the Vagrant multi-machine concept. Vagrant is able to define and control multiple guest machines per Vagrant file. This is known as a multi-machine environment. Multiple machines are defined within the same project Vagrant file using the config.vm.define method call. This configuration directive is a little funny because it creates a Vagrant configuration within a configuration. When you're referring to the config variable, you're referring to the default virtual machine. So, what I want to say here in these sentences is that you can make such configuration inside of the Vagrant file, that you can start multiple virtual machines without defining a new Vagrant project directory. So you can model a specific architecture that you want by creating a single Vagrant project directory. And you will see in a moment the config variable that I'm referring to here. So as I told you at the beginning of the tutorial, before taking any changes to my Vagrant project directory and my Vagrant project Vagrant file that I will change, I will use Vagrant destroy with the F option in order to destroy the current virtual machines related to my Vagrant project. So in the terminal, I will hit the enter key. And as you can see here, Vagrant is trying to shut down the virtual machines and destroying any virtual machines and associated drivers with the current Vagrant project directory. Okay. Now, now that I've destroyed the virtual machine, let's take a look inside of provision-shell/bootstrap.sh, which is the provision shell script that I will use during this tutorial. The interesting part here is this one, where I'm installing Apache 2. When I'm installing Apache 2. If you want to learn more about what this part is doing, you can check out my tutorials on YouTube and also visit my website liviubalan.com. But for now, what is important to remember is that this provision shell script will just install Apache 2 on a virtual machine. This is because during this tutorial I will create 3 virtual machines that will act as a web server. So in order to do this, I will have to install Apache on all of them. So this script is installing Apache, and this is all you need to know for now. Okay, let's quit this file and let's edit the Vagrant file. And because I will make a lot of changes during this tutorial, instead of using vi, I will use gedit in order to edit the Vagrant file. So type gedit space Vagrant file and hit the enter key. As you can see on my right side, I'm having the Vagrant file, and the interesting part here is this one. As you can see from my previous tutorial, this block is used to define a virtual machine in a multi-virtual machine environment. And when you will start the project, the Vagrant project, this is the part where this value comes up. So bringing the machine and then the machine name up with Virtualbox provider. So because I will define 3 virtual machines, first thing that I will do is to comment this block, and I will copy and paste the blocks here. So as you can guess from the comments here, what this code is doing is to define the configuration for 3 virtual machines. The first one is an HTTP generic virtual machine, the second one will be a WordPress virtual machine, and the third one will be a test virtual machine. Let's take a look on the configuration directive that I will use and what is different between a virtual machine to another. As you can see here, I'm defining the virtual machine name, which is liviubalan.com-vm-http, and this is the virtual machine name that you will refer to when you will want to access this virtual machine. So for example, if you look here in the comments, if you will want to see the status of this virtual machine, all you have to do is to use Vagrant status and the virtual machine name, which is this one. Next, another option that I used on this virtual machine is primary set to true. This primary value is used only on the first virtual machine. You don't see it here or here. And this is because when you will want to use a generic default virtual machine, this virtual machine will be used. So for example, if you want to connect using SSH by using Vagrant SSH, if you don't have this primary value set to true to one of your virtual machines, you will get an error. But in my case, because I use primary set to true here, when I will use Vagrant SSH, I will connect to my virtual machine named liviubalan.com-vm-http. Next, as you can see, I'm defining an HTTP variable that will be used inside of this block. So inside of this block, I will be able to use the HTTP variable and I will be able to use all the properties that I can use in the global context when I'm using the config variable. So this is the config variable that I was talking about at the beginning of the tutorial. The config variable that I use here is the config variable that I spoke on this line. Okay, now because I'm referring to the HTTP variable that I've previously used here, now I am referring by using the HTTP variable to the current virtual machine, which is this one, meaning HTTP VM that I told you at the beginning of this copy and paste process. So for the current HTTP virtual machine, I'm defining a private network and the IP address will be 192.168.56.101. Next, because I want to change the name that it appears inside of the Virtualbox, I'm using the vb.name equal livyubalan.com-vagrant-ubuntu-http, and this is used inside of a block here by calling the vb variable, but this block is defined relative to the HTTP variable again. Next, I'm changing the host name to Ubuntu VM-HTTP using HTTP VM hostname, and then I'm running a provision shell script, an inline provision shell script, which will create an index.html inside of var www.html and will put the content HTTP hello HTTP inside of it. Now, you may ask yourself where it will find this path, because as you know, if you want to write some content inside of a file that doesn't exist, you will get an error. So you may ask yourself, who will create this file? This file will be created by Vagrant when Vagrant will try to run the provision shell script that I show you at the beginning of the tutorial, located in provision-shell/bootstrap.sh inside of my current Vagrant directory project. Okay, so Vagrant first will try to run this provision script, will install Apache for us, and after this will run this inline shell script and will write this string here inside of the index.html file. Okay, now that you know what is inside of my first virtual machine, HTTP generic machine, let's go to the second virtual machine that will be a WordPress virtual machine. So as you can see, instead of using the HTTP variable, I am using the WP variable, and I'm referring to my current virtual machine by using the WP variable. And instead of using the HTTP suffix, I am using the WP suffix in order to define the virtual machine name, the Virtualbox name, and so on. I've changed the IP address from 101 to 102 because I want to access the second virtual machine using a different IP address, and I'm writing the echo WP instead of echo hello HTTP inside of index.html. Now we can go to the third virtual machine, the test virtual machine, and besides the changing of the IP and changing of the suffix, you can see a difference between the other virtual machines. The parameter autostart set to false. This property autostart set to false will make your virtual machine not to start when you will use Vagrant app in order to create the virtual machines and start your project. This machine will not start until you create it manually using Vagrant app and name the machine that you want to start, and the machine name that you will want to start is this one, livybalan.com-vm-test. Okay, after this you can see here the same changes as on the WP machine, meaning the IP, the suffix that is used, and the change inside of the provision inline shell script. But another slightly difference is this one, the comment of the virtual machine hostname set to Ubuntu VM-test. So because I've commented the line here, the value for the hostname of this virtual machine will be taken from the config.vm variable listed here. So as you can guess, Vagrant is using in this case the inheritance in order to set some values for your current virtual machine, and because you didn't set any values to the hostname, the value taken will be from the config.vm.hostname that is set on the global level. So you may think on this as inheritance, as scoping if you are using a programming language. And what is important to remember is that if you don't set a specific value to your virtual machine, Vagrant will try to get it from the config variable set on the global level. Okay, now that you know what this virtual machine configuration file are doing, let's save the changes by using a Ctrl+S inside of my gedit app, and let's go to the terminal. Let's clear the screen, and I will use Vagrant app with --provider Virtualbox in order to create my Vagrant project and start the virtual machines. Because it will take some time in order to create the two virtual machines for this project, I will pause the video and I will come back after the process is ended, and we will inspect together what happened. So see you after the process is done.